What's up, Bridal Babes? I hope you're ready to talk weddings with me on another exciting episode of your favorite wedding podcast, Bridal Buzz. I'm your host, Kat, and today we're talking all things wedding photography with one of my favorite wedding photographers in the San Antonio Hill Country area, Gillian.
Hi, Bridal Babes.
You do destination too, yeah?
Yeah.
She's like, hit me up. I will travel to you.
Yeah. It's like few and far between, but I will like tell me where to go.
Mm-hmm. You'll pick up and go. She will.
Camels.
So don't hesitate, Bridal Babes. If you're in Maine, oh, that sounds like a beautiful place to get married.
To eat some crabs. Get married.
Yeah. Look at the water.
The water.
Look at the water.
Sweater weather. It's water and sweater weather.
Okay. Wow. I'm so glad you're here. I feel like this has been like the longest time coming ever.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. Literally so excited. You are one of the funnest photographers and just like sincere, genuine, kind, warm-hearted people I've ever met. So everyone say hi to Gillian.
Hi.
Hi, Gillian.
Hi, everyone.
Gillian is joining us in the studio today to talk about all things wedding photography. So some of you submitted stories, some of you didn't. If you miss out on those opportunities on my Instagram, make sure you're always looking at my Instagram stories and you will see the opportunity to submit your questions and your stories for the podcast to be featured. So I feel like wedding photography is one of the vendor categories that is like absolutely necessary to do the right research on and to spend the right amount of money on, you know?
Yes.
It's like one of those wedding essentials where it's like you need a venue. You need someone, depending on the state that you're in, who is legally able to marry you. You need a photographer because you need to remember what happened. Like the day is actually such a blur. Even if you feel like you're present in the moment, 6 months later, you're going to be so grateful to have the right photos, the right videos, which we're not going to talk about videography today, but I feel like they're both so important to be able to look back on. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times I think people, I'm going to get closer to this.
Yeah.
Hello.
Wow. You can also, it rotates here and it goes like you can change.
Oh, I'm going to bring it down.
Bring it down.
I'm going to bring it down. So I think a lot of times when people, they see the price of wedding photographers and they get scared and they're like, well, why? You're just taking pictures. You're not necessarily paying for that day so much. You're also paying for someone's experience. And that experience is invaluable because, you know, for myself, I've shot hundreds and hundreds of weddings and I've seen so many different things happen. And so I know, like, from my little cache memory back here, I can pull from that and be like, oh, this happened that time. You know, let me do this.
I've learned from experience. Yeah. You definitely want an experienced photographer if you're able to have one.
I feel like we're really messing with these a lot.
It's at the beginning, I was messing with it so much last time. And I just learned that you can put them up instead of sideways. Like last time I had them like sideways the whole time. Anyway, every time you tune into Bridal Buzz, there will be something new,
which is exciting. People tune in.
Yes. And if you can't tell, I'm actually in a completely different room right now. Over the last week, I flipped this studio into what is Jackson and I's at-home office. So behind the camera is both of our desks and all of our computers and gear, because his mom is moving in with us. And I'm actually so excited about that. Like a lot of people are like, oh no, mother-in-law. Yeah. And I'm like, no, she's actually super cool. And I'm just glad that we have the opportunity to like give her a space to live, you know, like a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm so grateful we have that extra room. Bridal Buzz is now in the office. So
it's official.
Yeah. And I was able to move the neon sign down a little bit and everything. So I feel like the shot's just going to be like so much better. Anyway, we have mimosas. Mimosas on a Tuesday going up. We're going to have a good time. Before we get into the stories, why don't you tell us a little bit about like why you started doing wedding photography?
Funny story. I feel like most photographers, they have some like, you know, this one moment where everything like happened and they're like, this is when I decided. And for me, it was not like that at all. I'm a very non-traditional type of person. So I started shooting random things back in like early 2000s, and without telling my age, early 2000s. And I got this like a point and shoot camera that I thought was absolutely the fanciest thing ever. It was like the cat's meow, and I was like, look at this, you want me to shoot you for something? Like, oh, you're pregnant, let me take pictures of you. And then I would go and I'd edit it, and like whatever my computer editing, like my laptop had at the time, and I would remove all color except for like one. And I thought, like, you know, when you see like the black and white and there's just a red apple.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and then
Hey, it's a vibe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were really happy too, and it was all free. It was just me, you know, having fun with friends, because I feel like most girls like taking pictures. We're all like, let's take pictures together. And then I put it down for a while, and it wasn't until after I got out of the Army and I went to a friend's wedding in Michigan.
How
and
long
I was
were you in the Army?
Almost 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a little while. I would have stayed in longer.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I went, and I was a bridesmaid at my friend's wedding in Michigan, and the experience was so fun. And I just remember, I don't know why, but I was just obsessed with the photographer. I'm like, she gets to go to weddings every weekend and party. And I mean, you don't get to party, just it's work, but it's work that I love, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just enamored by her and just in awe, like, wow, what is she doing? And just the whole night. And we drank and danced and drank a whole lot. Yeah. And I remember drunk me was like, I'm going to be a wedding photographer. And then one of our other friends there was like, oh, I'll be a wedding planner. And, and we talked about that for a while. We were like, oh, we should do this and this. And then it just kind of lit a fire under me, because it reminded me of like my history of picking up cameras and being like, oh, this would be fun. And it also fed into my artistic, you know, side, because I'm an artist, but not a painting artist. You don't want me to draw anything for you.
I feel like that too about myself, except for I'm really proud of the pumpkins that I've been painting this month. Bridal Babes, I'll share pictures on my Instagram of that, because I just, if I look at something like as a guide, I can visually recreate it.
Yeah.
I can visually recreate it.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me to be like going from just what I see in my head to paper, I don't know if you can even call it abstract. It's just wrong.
Picasso. It's Picasso.
It's Picasso. I like it. Picasso. Is that the sound? I don't remember.
It's just
Yeah. Well, okay. That's crazy that you literally were just like, oh, I'm going to manifest this. This is going to be my reality now. And is your friend a wedding planner now?
No.
Oh, well,
I probably should have mentioned that. She's
okay.
out there like, Jill, how dare you?
She didn't jump on the bandwagon, and you know, that's on her. That's her decision, but
there's still time.
Yeah.
There's still time.
Yeah. And so what would you like describe as your style or like approach to editing, to your day of, like, what's your relationship with your couples?
That's
juicy.
a very deep question. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
So I am not a technical photographer. I'm not a I'm not a great businesswoman. I am here I go with the faces. I'm not a great businesswoman. I'm not a great like technical person. I have some savvy to technology and stuff, but not the best. So my strengths lie in making people feel seen and comfortable, and the psychology of it. And so that's kind of where I put my foot forward, is the psychology side of things. When I'm shooting, my main objective is, yes, to get you, you know, phenomenal photos and to make you feel like, you know, your vision was heard. But I also am trying to make sure that you feel like you look your best. And that's not always in a time when you physically are your most fit, or you're physically, you know, you're the, you know, clearest skin or best hair. That's a psychological thing.
Right.
And so I'm trying to put you in that mental space where you're like, you know, maybe I don't have, because no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. You are perfect.
Not
though.
even Gigi
So-
Hadid.
No,
Hadid, whatever.
Hadid.
Hadid. I did la do da da. My imperfections are showing. Oh.
She's changing her name now, because
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Gigi Hadid.
Hadid.
Yeah, I'm gonna call her Haddadi.
but not call her daddy the podcast.
Yeah.
That's ages ago. Anyway.
Yes. So yes, leading psychologically. And that's where when I'm shooting and when I'm interacting with people, that's what I'm focusing on, is that what your head is doing, what your heart is feeling, you know? And then after that, when I'm editing, it's more of like a filmy editorial look. When I'm posing, it's very editorial. I'm leaning into the documentary style of shooting weddings, because I find that the more that I shoot, the less I want the super post stuff. I'll shoot a little bit of that. You know, I'll be like, hey, why don't we lean? Like, let's GQ it. You know, let's get the angles, you know, drama.
Get a couple here and there, but it's not like the total priority of the day.
Yeah, that's not like the meat of the day. That's like you partying, you having fun, you feeling those feelings. That's the most important. And I don't want the photos to detract from you and your relationship and the day and your future and everything else, because all that other stuff is so much more important than me and my ego or me and my business. You know, like I'll take care of my business, you take care of
yours.
Self.
Yeah. You know what I just thought about when you were saying that is like, I've been thinking about the family portraits that happen like after ceremony, and I love the ones that I have. I'm glad that I did them, of course, but I'm almost thinking, is there a way to like make them more natural and like actually allow you as the couple to go to cocktail hour and like take those more documentary style photos with the family like at cocktail hour? Because I don't know, I just feel I missed out on my cocktail hour and I really wanted to be there. I didn't have time with all the pictures and the bustling of the dress, like, and I had the goal of being there. I wonder if it would work, you know, if there are not certain venues it wouldn't work in, you know, but I do think that might be a good idea if you're looking to have more of that like family time focused day instead of those posed photos. I don't know if you've done anything like that before.
Yes, I'm glad that you asked. I've been starting to mention this more in my social media and with couples, and a lot more of my couples are opting for actually going and enjoying their cocktail hour. You spend a lot of money on all that alcohol.
Yeah. Well, I had a full like 4-piece string band that I really wanted to enjoy. Yeah.
So the remedy for that is so you have to think of your wedding day very pragmatically. You have to think of it in reverse engineer the time. So usually I'll reverse engineer things based off of sunset. So you have sunset, and then 2 hours before sunset is usually when I say, hey, have ceremony about this time. But you know, it's a case by case basis. And so you break it down that way. And then after the ceremony, we do family portraits, because that's when we know everyone's going to be there. Everyone's going to be ready. Everyone's like centrally located around the photographer and the couple. But it does take away from your time enjoying cocktail hour. So what I do is we will have the family members try and be there and be ready an hour before ceremony time, because I'm already taking, you know, if the couple did a first look, I'm already taking their, you know, newlywed portraits then. And they look great and we're all excited and we haven't gotten like sweaty or anything yet. We haven't, you know, so that's a great time, because then you're already probably doing first look with mom and dad if you are doing that. And then right after, let's get a few snaps of you guys. And you have that emotion on your face. And you can't duplicate that. You can't fake it. That feeling of like, they just saw me and they cried or they didn't cry, or like we're just in it. And
I wish I would have had a first look with my grandparents. That's something I wish I would have incorporated, because it's like so special for them to be able to be there. They're in their 80s, you know, like I'm so lucky to have had 3 of the 4 grandparents there on my side. And I wish, because the first time they saw me was when I was walking down the aisle, and it's like, oh, they didn't really get to even like take it in, because I literally changed like 15 minutes after my reception started. I was so over wearing my dress. I don't know if I've shared this, but I ended up being allergic to like some of the materials that they put in alterations, which is nobody's fault. I didn't know.
How are they gonna know?
Didn't know. It just is what it is. But I was like breaking out on my rib cage and like in my armpits. So I was just, and I needed to use the restroom, and I had to undo the bustle to use the restroom. And I'm like, why don't I just take off this dress and change into my jumpsuit? And that's what I did. And I also regret not getting like really official photos in my second outfit. And I feel like that might be a common thread for people, because it's like I got a bunch on the dance floor, I got a bunch during toasts, but I didn't have in the cake cutting, but I didn't have something of like me and Jackson just like in
just you two,
in
frame.
my outfit that I changed into, and I love that outfit like a lot. So that is something I regret not like being like, hey, let's do this.
Yeah.
Because you do, as a bride, as a groom, as someone getting married, you do have to speak up for yourself if you need something specific, because your photographer is one person. If you have a second shooter, two people, and there's a lot going on, and they're going to do their best to provide for you. But like, if you are like thinking that they're a mind reader and they're going to be like, oh, she wants a picture of her and her groom right now. They're not mind readers. Like, you have to vocalize that.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Because we try, I try to listen to my couples. I try to make sure that they feel heard, and they don't have to over communicate with me, like that we have kind of an understanding. That's why it's important to feel like you click with your vendors, because there's going to be a lot of times where you can't communicate at that moment. And so you have to kind of like, hey, and then hope that they understand you. And so in that instance, usually like as a photographer, if there is an outfit change, I might be like, that's really cute, do you want to just like slide over here and like, this is a cool wall, or like, let's go get you guys, if there's like some fun thing happening at the reception, let's go grab that thing, let's go, oh, there's donkeys, or there's cotton candy or something, like let's go get you that and just have a little fun moment and pull you away from the hustle and bustle. The bustle.
Literally.
Let's pull you away from the bustle.
Out of this bustle, baby. Okay. Well, I feel like that was a pretty good intro to all things wedding photography. Your history as a wedding photographer, who you are as a wedding photographer. I think it's time to get into some stories.
Yes.
Some juicy stories.
I like this. These really have great sound. I feel like I'm like the best voice in the world right now.
Aww. Isn't it nice to like hear yourself in that kind of way? Yeah. I feel like, oh, wow.
I don't know what that was. I was like an eagle or something.
I feel like a lot of people are like, it's like weird for them to hear their own voice. And it used to be for me, but I think at this point, it's like, I'm just so used to it.
Yeah.
Like, from singing and recording music and then to the podcast, like, it's just, I'm just here, baby. This is my voice. I'm not going to do anything about it.
You have a fantastic voice, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
used to watch your singing videos and I'm like, dang, girl. Like, I don't know.
Oh, thanks. And I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast, but I actually, the theme song that's on Bridal Buzz, I wrote on GarageBand. So, boo doo 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 boo doo 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 doo. Yeah. That was my brainchild. And if you have a podcast and want me to write your theme song, hit me up. Anyway,
that's amazing.
Thank you. And shout out to my brother, John Gwali, for helping me master it, because he is such a better music production person than I am. And I was like, I have the bones. Can you please just help me finesse?
Yeah.
And he did. So thank you, Bubba.
Thanks, bro. Like your stickers.
Thanks. I got him on Amazon.
Those are really cute. I could do this all day. I could just like talk to myself all day.
Literally, like, please start a podcast. Bridal Babes. Bridal Babes, leave a little message in the comments with some encouragement for Gillian to start her own podcast, because she literally has a mic. She literally has the desire. She just needs the fire.
The fire under my butt.
Under her butt.
Under my butt.
Specifically.
Not my feet. Not my hands.
Okay. So, first story is... Everything is costing more than I thought. Yes. Hi, everyone. I am currently planning a wedding for summer 2024. We recently put down a deposit for a venue and catering, which was a little bit more than we thought it would be, but we figured it would be okay because we can cut down on other costs. However, I'm finding out as I reach out and ask for quotes from places that everything is costing more than what I initially anticipated. I had done a lot of research while putting together an initial budget around how much people typically spent on various wedding aspects, only to find that things are way more than I have read. For example, with photography, I had read a bunch of articles saying about average wedding photographer costs. Most of what I read landed between $2,000 to $4,000. But when I was going through the suggested vendor list for our venue, every single photographer was out of that range. Most of the photographers cost between $6,000 to $9,000. Did I just not read the right articles when putting together our budget? I'm getting married in Massachusetts. Is that why? The cost is just much higher in that state. I'm panicking a bit because with these new prices, we're way over budget with just the quote essentials: venue, catering, photographer, clothing, hair and makeup, DJ, rehearsal dinner. I don't even have florals or centerpieces on the budget because I've decided to DIY those to save money. Is anyone else feeling this way?
That's a pickle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think majority of brides are budget brides. That's most of us, myself included. If I were to get married, I would be a budget bride. And it is shocking when you haven't even considered something like this before. Like most people haven't taken professional photos. So when you look and you're like, why are you with thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Just doesn't make sense. Unless you're in the industry. And so my answer to that is there are budget options. There are a lot of photographers who are starting out who, you can work with them, working also on like a weekday. So that's not going to change the cost of the photographer, but that might cut down on your time.
Yeah, that's definitely
during
a good
the wedding.
tip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then cutting down on the guest list. I know we want to have everybody there, at least myself. I would imagine having like the more the merrier,
Mm-hmm.
But cutting down on guest list, try having a weekday wedding, and then that will cut down on the actual timeline. And then getting a photographer who recently started or started the last year or two, and then they'll be in that price point.
Yeah.
But it is, so you're paying for their experience. That's what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, definitely paying for the experience. And I know, like for us in Texas, the price range is just absolutely crazy because there's the 2000s price range.
We have like South Texas and we have Dallas. It's like two very different markets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think when you charge, like for out here at least, if you're living in San Antonio and you're trying to charge, worldwide fees like Dallas costs, people are going to be shocked and they're going to say, why would I pay for that? Understandably. And you need to talk value with I'm getting on this other tangent right now. You need to talk value with your clients about what you bring to the table.
But it is important when you get that quote, like, don't just send a number to your client or potential client. Yeah, exactly.
Tell them why.
Yes.
Say, hey, you know what? I'm not only offering, yes, I will be there on your wedding day, but I will talk you through your timeline. Like I'll help couples build timelines if they need it. I will, and I tell them whenever I do my discovery chat, I'm like, hey, if you have any questions, and especially if you don't have a planner, talk to me.
Yeah.
Like we can talk through this. And if I'm available, I'll answer a call, I'll answer the text, and I can't tell you how many brides text me just asking about, things non-photography related because they're like, well, you've been to a lot of weddings.
Yep.
And I'm like, I have.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then, that helps them see the value in it more too. But I think I know the reason why we cost so much is obviously our experience, but also, we're all trying to make a living too. And with the way that the economy is, everything has gone up in price.
Yes.
And that's probably why she's noticing, or he, or whoever, they are noticing the discrepancy between the prices, as they're like, wait, what is this?
Yes. I highly doubt brides.com, Wedding Wire, actually has the ability to accurately say, especially right now, what the average price is going to be in your specific area. Because like you said, every state is different and every state has its ranges. And it you being, 45 minutes outside of a city versus inside of a city could change your options, could change the cost. So many things go into the weighing in and out of this situation.
I'm a budget photographer in New York or California, in like nice parts of California. I am a budget photographer.
Hear that? Cali brides, Jillian's ready. And you're a Cali girl.
Yeah. Take me home.
Take me home, baby.
No, I love Texas. I am home.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
But you would photograph weddings there and be considered a cheaper option than the normal, even though here in San Antonio, you're probably not considered.
Like right in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm kind of middle ground right now.
Which we love. We love a middle ground price.
Yeah. Because it's doable. Like, you know, some people, they can like, okay, well, let me work it. And then, oh, you know what? This does work for me. Mm-hmm. And some people, they've been like, why are you so cheap? And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Is that a compliment?
Why am I? Yeah, it is. But it's, you know, they're genuinely wondering, well, why aren't you charging more? And I'm like, well, honestly, I probably wouldn't book as many weddings, you know, and that's a whole other conversation. Right. Yeah.
But having the right price point, like this bride or this, you know, person getting married is saying like they're finding $6,000 to $9,000 and they don't even have an option. Like that's crazy. And honestly, if I read $9,000 from a wedding photographer, I would be shocked. Like that to me is like, that's the price of the venue, you know? And my wedding photographer was not, it was around $6,000 for the entire package, like with the engagement photos, with the day of and everything included. Like that's what it came out to be, Bridal Babes. That's the truth behind
average, it. Yeah.
And so, but 9,000 is, for me, I would have been like, I can't do this. That's a lot. Because like we have one car, we could buy another car with that. And it's, that's how I see it at that point. And there is so much sticker shock in the wedding world. It is so hard to be a romantic and then get to this point where you're actually planning your wedding and you realize what you've been envisioning in your head your whole life is not possible to recreate with the budget, with the location, with the circumstances that you're in. And
absolutely, yeah.
That is definitely like, this is a situation like that where it's like, maybe these are the top offered photographers, but you, with your budget, you might have to look at some other options.
Yeah. Unless the venue, I hope that venue doesn't have like exclusive, like we only work with these photographers. I don't know if that's the case. If that is, then they are kind of stuck. But if not, yeah, definitely reach out, like reach around the community and see, like just search on Instagram. Honestly, that's what I do. I search for other photographers. I'm like, oh, their work is great. Let me follow you. Let me follow you. And that kind of goes against what they tell you to do as a business. Don't follow more people than people are following you. I'm like, follow.
I like your content.
Yeah. You gotta follow.
Yeah. And Instagram can definitely be one of your best friends in wedding planning, especially for finding those like smaller accounts, just starting up photographers, because they probably won't land on the first page of Google results. Yeah. But if you're looking at, you know, Austin weddings or, you know, Los Angeles weddings, wherever you are, and like they're using that hashtag, that gives you the opportunity to find so many different options. And like, it might feel like a lot of work, but just spend an afternoon sending out messages and start comparing prices and make sure that the quality of their work, the eye that they have, matches what you're looking for at the end of the day. And you're like, if you have to compromise somewhere, you just, I don't know, like you have to.
You really have to do your homework. You have to look at Instagram, look at The Knot, look at Wedding Wire. I know that those are great for being able to compare price points. And then from there, like I don't advertise through them, but it's a great opportunity to just kind of like
see the options.
Let me look at, like, I'm looking for this exact price point. Yeah. Who is in there? You know, you can't do that with Instagram. I don't know if Facebook you can, but and then after that, once you've narrowed it down to a few photographers, you know, talk with them, see if you guys, you know, you mesh, if everything flows, if you feel comfortable around them, and then look at their Google reviews. Definitely look at their Google reviews.
And ask, like, computer just turned on by itself. Woo, it's spooky season.
Are there spirits in the room?
I totally lost track of what I was going to say there.
We were talking about Google reviews.
Yeah, and hit up other couples on Instagram that either the photographer has tagged or they have tagged that photographer and say, spill the tea, give me the real lowdown. How was your experience? Would you recommend them? What did you like? What did you not like? I've had people ask me questions about people I've worked with for my wedding, and I will tell them straight up over DMs. I'm not going to air out all of my good and bads on the podcast, but hit me up on DMs and I'd be more than happy to like tell you what I think about working with certain people. And I think that is another great way, because leave your vendors Google reviews. Like if you've already had a wedding, if you're about to have a wedding, leave them Google reviews, because it actually makes such a difference when you even just put 5 stars. You don't even have to leave words. Leaving words is better, but like if you can just give them one little piece of engagement, Google is going to reward them so much. So if you liked working with them, please leave them a good review.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
Even if, honestly, even if you talk with them for a while and you didn't book them, but you're like, hey, that was a great experience. They're out of my price point, but based off of their work and speaking with them, you could leave a review just based off of that and say, hey, I spoke with them and it was fantastic and they were personable and they made me feel comfortable. They gave me advice. Yeah. And I didn't even book them and they gave me advice. Aww. And that helps. We're all small businesses and we're all people.
Exactly. There is a very small percentage of wedding industry professionals that are working for like a corporation or like a large company of more than like 10 people.
Yeah.
Like
one.
Yeah, there's like maybe I'm thinking of like one company in San Antonio that is like huge and has 1,000+ employees in multiple locations across America. RK Group.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, they're huge.
Yes. But like
fantastic.
95% of the other people you talk to are small business owners, probably working out of their home or have like a small brick and mortar store. Yeah. Studio that they're working out of, but they have 10, maybe 25 employees. So they're every little detail is important to them. Yeah. And every single word matters, every follow, every review. Anyway, we're on a tangent.
I'm sorry. Queens of tangents. But actually, another tangent. Could I fix your necklace?
Yes. Thank you.
I thought it was really cute looking like this. And then I realized that it's backwards.
It's wrong. It's backwards. Oh, thank you. I always forget to like check myself before we start recording. I don't want to
pull your hair.
Here. Thanks, Mom.
No problem, sweetie. There you go.
Well, and Gillian is a mom. You have a girl. Yeah. Her name is Layla. Was she 9?
Yes. Aww. Yeah. She's turning 9, but she reminds me all the time. I'm almost 9.
She's like, I'm basically 9.
Yeah, I'm a grown woman.
Oh, when's her birthday?
November 10th.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah. I have her birthday party planned. It's at Rush, the fun park.
The fun park.
Or it's cool. It's called the Rush Fun Park. And I was like, the placement of the is weird to me.
Is it like one of those like trampoline?
Yeah. I went with her. We tested it out. And
did they give you free passes
as
a potential client?
No, because I did it backwards. I already booked them. And then I was like, well, yeah. And because she kept talking about it, she's like, Mom, we need to have it here. My friend went here. So I was like, okay, we'll go. And then we went there and I was like, well, I should probably check out this location and,
probably put a down payment already. Like, telling everybody else to come here.
Yeah.
Love that.
It was a blast. Oh my gosh. I am out of shape.
They had like inflatable parks when I was a kid, but they did not have trampoline parks. I don't know if that was like a liability thing, but like the laws changed or like it just was like, oh, it's 2015. Let's invent trampoline parks. And I was like, what? Like
that's amazing. There was, what was it? Discovery Zone. Did you ever go there? Okay. Maybe that's a West Coast.
Pump It Up was the Houston like inflatable zone. I had my 5th grade birthday party there. My boyfriend at the time really wanted to kiss me. And I said, Doug, I am too young. I don't want this to be my first kiss story.
No. Respect the space, Doug.
Isn't that hilarious? Yeah. I was literally 11. Like, Doug, I'm too young. This will not be my story, Doug.
Well, see, you were powerful enough to call that then. Most girls, like me, myself, at that age, if a boy tried to kiss me, I would probably just freeze and be like, and it would happen and it would be awkward. I wouldn't even react. I would just be like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then I felt like I cursed myself because I didn't have my first kiss until like a month before I turned 18.
That's okay.
Yeah. Now I'm like honestly so grateful because I am so such an emotionally attached person. My freshman year college self did not go through good times being physically involved and then emotionally attached to a lot of the wrong people. But I'm glad that I didn't have like all of that painful like junior high school love
boyfriend
drama.
drama.
Like I just didn't have to get that deep when I was that young. So
I looked like a little boy when I was in middle school, so I didn't have any problems with it. I was just knees and elbows, like straight up and down, and my nickname was like Skeleton or Skinny Bones. Or Betty Spaghetti.
Did you grow fast? Because you're tall.
Did. Yeah, I was like emaciated, skinny. I like my ribs. I could put my hands like under my rib.
Stop.
I was so
you just like couldn't eat enough.
I wasn't interested in food that much. I wish that was the case now, but
I'm like, were you okay though?
I'm okay. Yeah, I was okay. Okay. It was just a different time. And and I did not like high school, did not peak in high school. So I was so awkward. Just
I went through rapid weight gain and then rapid weight loss like up to my junior year, and then like by the time I graduated from high school I was like 115 pounds. Not a healthy weight for me. I looking back, people were like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And I was eating. I was, I wasn't like being unhealthy, but I just was so obsessed with losing weight once I was able to, that it was hard for me to know where to stop. And then anyway, tangent, but so just like comfortable and proud of where I'm at now with my body. It's been great. Up and down. Thank you. And this is around what I weighed. Like I weigh maybe like 10, 15 pounds less than what I weighed in high school when I was like so self-conscious and just like afraid of showing myself around people and like what they were going to say about my body. And now I'm just like, no, I'm slim thick. Like that's a vibe, and everybody loves that. Yes. And it didn't used to be a vibe. So I'm glad that we're all on board for freckles, curly hair, and slim thick now.
Just natural beauty. That's kind of just a testament to, if you're insecure about anything, then, everyone's insecure about something. And therefore, why worry about
henceforth.
it? Henceforth.
Henceforth. Let's get back to wedding photography.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Empowerment.
I love the tangents.
Coming of, stories. I think I'll start my mornings just getting on a mic and listening to myself talk. So good morning, Gillian.
Hey, you can like say some positive affirmations.
Yes. Yeah.
I am worthy. I am enough. Yeah. Oh, that sounds really nice to like hear myself
in
say
the mic.
That.
Yeah. It like bounces back to you when you have the headphones on. That's actually one of the things that I recommend before weddings is I've told 2 brides now that before planning your wedding, before taking any pictures, 2 things that you should do before planning your wedding: get couples therapy, because it's going to be a ride. It's not necessarily going to always be bumpy. You might have like parents paying for a lot of stuff and you're hands off, but as a couple, you need to, reinforce each other and be a team. And then also positive affirmations before shooting. People are like, how should I get ready for a shoot? Positive affirmations, because that's going to change the way you think. That's going to change the way you smile and how you hold yourself. So during the shoot, you're going to be, if you've given yourself all these positive affirmations to fall back on, you're going to go into the shoot like, here I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The confidence just glowing. What's that song? I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am rich.
Oh,
I am
I don't know.
Pretty sure it's a thing. I think it was like a girl on TikTok or something. I don't know.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the words at all. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's coming to mind. It could be just totally wrong.
You could be making it up, and that's wonderful.
And that's, and we're just creating art everywhere we go.
The next new thing.
Boom.
Is cat singing.
Okay, let's get to the next story.
Sorry.
It's okay. Title is, Photographer no-showed our wedding. How can they make things right? I know. Hi. We hired a wedding photographer and videographer for our wedding this past weekend. We used the same parent company for photos and videos and prepaid for both services. The company does not have employees themselves, but subcontracts the photography and videography. We didn't know this until the night of. Our videographer showed up on time and was incredible throughout the evening. When the photographer wasn't there, my husband reached out to the company with no response. The videographer also attempted to contact the company to see about the photographer with no response. No one responded all evening and no photographer ever showed up. The company has already refunded us, obviously, as we paid for a service we didn't receive. Now the owner of the company wants to set up a time to chat and find a resolution. The owner said he was on a flight Saturday night and that's why he wasn't answering his phone. I guess I'm not sure how to proceed or what to even ask for, or what he could offer that could make up for this. The only thing I want is photos of my wedding, but that's not possible. The company's owner has been super apologetic, and I feel for him. Everyone screws up sometimes, but I feel like this is huge. I don't want to be an asshole to him because there's no point. There will never be photos of my wedding. But I also feel like if it were my company, I would offer something in addition to a refund to try and rectify things. What would you do? What would you want them to offer? Any and all advice would be greatly appreciated.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them, like your photographer not showing up. I feel bad for that couple. What a disappointment, because you know that no matter how good everything else was going on, that just everything kind of got a damper, because you're like, well, we should be taking these pictures right now, and maybe you have somebody with their phone like snap, snap.
Yes.
There you go.
But still, it's like the resolution can only be, you can't blow it up further than you can, you know? You can only print it so large, and that's hard.
So this is what I would say. If for whatever reason I was in the company's place and my contracted photographer did not show, I would offer a styled shoot for them.
Yes.
I know it will never make up for your actual wedding day.
Yeah.
But
and the people that were there and
like those beautiful, wonderful memories, the grandparents, the dancing, the laughter.
Bridal
it will
party,
never make up for that. Never. But what you can do is possibly offer them a styled shoot. And if you don't know what a styled shoot is, it is just a kind of like a fake wedding day. You style up a venue or a space to look like an actual wedding, and offer them like, yes, you are going to be going out of pocket as a company, but that is the least you can do to make up for such a huge thing. If he couldn't send, or she, why did I say he?
It was a he, the owner of the company.
If they couldn't send another photographer in time, or at least a little later, and if they don't have a backup for that, then yeah, absolutely replace. Like, but we're gonna get you hair and makeup. We're gonna get you a cake. We're gonna get you floral. We're gonna have a venue set up. And maybe a getaway car, and do above and beyond what the couple actually had. Yeah. And like I said, it won't make up for it, but it will give them a little bit of a better feeling after the fact. She can use her dress again. Yeah. So you don't need, a new dress unless she wants, and then let her have it. She wants her cake and she wants to eat it too. You let her. And then you just make that the best experience possible. And I feel like that's what I would probably want to do. Yeah.
I'm just like totally flabbergasted that the owner of the company was just like on a plane and he's, oh, sorry, didn't see your calls last night. Yeah. Like, sir, do you not have an assistant? Do you not have like a backup person for if you're traveling on the night of weddings, which are typically Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Like, you wouldn't have somebody to play backup while you're out of cell reception? That to me is just like a lack of care for his clients. And it's sketchy that they didn't know that they were going to be like contracted out. And that's, people have teams, but if you know ahead of time, that's different than not knowing ahead of time. Because
it's usually in the contracts.
Yeah. And maybe they didn't read the contract. Maybe it just wasn't stated clearly, but they probably thought they were hiring the owner when they, contacted and communicated with them. So it's just totally misleading information. Or I know I had bridal brain. There were things on contracts I had that like I probably read 3 times, and then after my wedding was like, I totally missed that. Like, that's the wrong number. Like, I needed more of this thing and I didn't get enough. It's like, what? I should have noticed that.
Well, there's so much. There's just so many moving parts. you're not going to catch everything. There's just gonna be so many things that
Yep.
happen behind the scenes too. That's like, oh, how do we fix this?
And this, if you can, hire a planner who will be there every step of the way with you from start of engagement to wedding day, because if they're doing their job right, they will look at every little detail and help you out as much as they can where you are missing that, because there's only so much as a bride, the emotion, or, you know, whoever you are planning a wedding, like the emotion and stress and just like mental fatigue that comes with wedding planning. You need a good backup. You need, you know, like Patrick Mahomes needs a good backup quarterback. I don't know if he has one, but I'm just like throwing that out there as an example. Like
Patrick. I don't know sports. Yeah. Come on, Pat.
Do you know who Patrick Mahomes is though?
No. I don't know sports.
Not at all.
Zero.
Oh, he's the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs
won the Super Bowl a couple times, I think now. Maybe two or three times. I'm not like the sportiest girl,
but you know it though. That's good.
Yes,
yeah.
Jackson and I have a fantasy football league.
But you guys are doing that together as a couple. That's really cute.
He loves football.
Yeah.
It's football.
Yeah.
Fall is football.
Yeah. I think if I was in a relationship with someone who liked football, then I'd probably be like, oh yeah. Well, Patty. Yeah, we know him.
I learned so much about the game from joining fantasy, and like
really?
I actually started watching. I was like, oh, that's what happens. Oh, that's the difference between an interception and a fumble and an incomplete pass and all these things. And like, oh, if they catch it in the end zone and all that, like, oh, like I just didn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, the more you know.
It's a different world.
I was like, oh, look at the ball go before, you know, and now I'm like, oh, he's a running back. This is his position, and like tight end. And I don't know.
Do you guys wear jerseys and watch it?
No, I have one jersey, JJ Watt. H-Town, hold it down. But it's like a retired jersey because he's no longer playing, and he went to play for the Cardinals in his last 2 years. So he abandoned us as a city. I still love him though.
Boy, bye.
I was like obsessed with him in high school. I'm like, ooh,
that's an easy name to say too, like JJ. You could just chant it
at the stadium. It's like JJ what?
Oh,
it's intense, and he's like a huge defensive player. So yeah. Anyway.
Our tangents are just epic. I'm sorry. I'm not any good at like redirecting things.
Do you have ADD? I have ADHD.
I have ADHD.
Yes. Well, this might be a 2-hour-long podcast. Yeah. It's fine as long as we get you out of here on time. It's already 12:30. Yeah. Can you believe that?
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I feel like we kind of covered that. Did we answer?
Okay, so
styled shoot. I mean, you gave your like. I think that would be the best solution. And like, no one wants to be in this situation, but if you are, like, it is what it is. I know that sucks to hear, but like, make the most of it. You got your money back. Like, you don't have to ever say anything good about this company to anybody, but at least maybe if they do, you know, fix the situation for you, maybe you don't say anything negative. Like, I don't know. It's a really sticky situation to be in, to be let down on your wedding day.
Yeah.
I had, you know, a situation with a certain vendor where like literally for months after the wedding, I didn't feel like I was done with the wedding planning because I was still dealing with this breach of contract, you know, and it's like, ugh, like what a burden, you know. I just want to be like moving on from my wedding day. And so like there's only so much you can plan for. And unfortunately, this is a situation that you just can't like expect to happen. And you're not going to have a backup plan. Like, oh, if my photographer doesn't show up, I'm going to have somebody on the back line, you know?
What do you do?
Yeah. Like maybe you have a friend, like you said, taking iPhone photos. And I'm somebody, we're going to cover this. I'm somebody who's like, take photos, like, you know, be like, the more the merrier for me. Like, and thank God everyone was respectful at my ceremony taking photos. Nobody was in the aisle or like standing up. Like, I've heard crazy stories about that. And I'm like, I can't even like, I'm sure you've seen crazy things as a photographer, but I'm like, I can't even imagine people like being that outward with it.
People don't realize that's what it is. It's usually an older guest, an aunt, a grandmother, or just an extended family member they're just excited about your day, and they're like, oh, that's a good spot to take a video or a picture, and I brought my tablet, let me just set up shop. and I understand it, but I will very gently, unless the couple is like, we don't mind it, then I won't touch it, but I will very gently just, oh, excuse me, I'm taking a picture here, because I don't want to interrupt the moment.
Yeah.
You don't want to disrespect a family member. You also don't want, for them not to get their video too, because they're going to use it. The family's going to use it. That's a valuable video for them. Just because, like, I'm paid and I'm contracted to do this, unless they specifically say, no photos, no video, then I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah. And I'm sure, like, if you were seeing somebody being totally obnoxious, you would just be like,
excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Out of my way, Bertha.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to move.
A little tap on the shoulder action.
And I've done that multiple times, and there was never an issue, just because it's how you address it.
Exactly. Like, they're like, oh, oopsie.
Sorry.
I didn't even think about it.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. And then they're embarrassed. I'm like, you don't need to embarrass. Here, I'll do this. And then why don't you sneak in and, like, get a little quick picture too. It's that easy.
Boom.
So like you said, maybe having other people there with cameras, I'm never going to be upset that there's cameras at the wedding.
Yeah.
We usually, me and camera person, at some point in the day, will end up talking cameras. Like, they always come up and they're like, what you shooting on? And I'm like, oh, Canon, and then we start talking about it. And then they're like, oh, I'm not that, and we just have a great conversation about photography. And then I get back to work.
In my contract with my photographer, I think I had an agreement that, like, said he was the only one that would take, like, professional photos. So I wonder if he would have been upset at actual cameras being pulled out or not.
Yeah. I don't know. Every photographer is different. I've second shot so many weddings, and I have the ones that I shoot regularly with, so I know how they would respond.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll second shoot with somebody, and it's very random. It's just kind of like they post it online. Hey, I need a second shooter for this date. And I'll come, and they surprise me because they'll be very, very upset, or very, just, they feel hurt. Like someone's pulling a rug under them. And I don't understand that mindset.
Because, like, at the end of the day, it's the client's day.
Yeah.
Right?
And if they're okay with it, then I'm okay with
Yeah.
it. It's really not our day. It's not the us show.
Yeah.
It's not the
I
photographer
have heard
show.
of brides hiring two different photographers to shoot because they wanted, like, two different looks for their wedding. So I don't know. I mean,
that would be interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Do you want more champagne?
Let me finish this.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab the champagne.
Ooh.
Check the timing on the video.
Okay.
I think we have time for 2 more stories, but
Yes. Okay, then I'll fill her up.
all right. Let's move on to our third story of the day. This one is kind of a short one, but I feel like a great question. Okay. So, title is Photography Advice. Are you having a second shooter? Exactly as the title says, we are having a small, about 40 people, wedding in Italy, and our planners are suggesting a second shooter, which would cost roughly another $1,000. I kind of feel like it might not be critical for a group of our size. Would love to hear everyone else's experience and point of view on this.
Personally, if the couple doesn't want it, and with that small of a group, I wouldn't have a second shooter with me.
Yeah.
If they asked for it.
Yeah.
If they were like, hey, we really don't want it, it's up to what the client wants. But would I prefer a second shooter? Yes, always. I always. It's security.
Yeah.
It's you shoot on cameras with dual card slots because security, and you have multiple cameras, security.
Yeah.
Security.
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 This dude has got to go.
Yeah.
Is that Bon Qui Qui?
Yes. Where did she go? She disappeared from us.
Oh. What's her Angela Johnson?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
God, I don't know names.
It's okay. I only know because I was obsessed with her skits, and honestly, looking back, I'm like, these are not PC.
No. I loved Chappelle's Show back in the day, and then I look back and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, not PC.
Still funny, not PC.
Yeah. You do you, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Chappelle Show. But having a second shooter, it's really up to, I am such a relaxed photographer in a lot of ways. And so it's just, what does a couple want?
Yeah.
Do they want one? No? Okay. Well, then I
Whatever.
won't bring one.
Yeah.
I would like one. I would like that, cushion in case I get sick. Like, so here's the reasons why you would want a second shooter is
Give it to us.
if the, okay.
Give it to me, baby.
I just thought of that song. Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Is if I get sick the day of, God forbid, knock on wood, but it's possible. If I get sick, if I get injured, if for whatever reason I am held back from, like let's say I don't know why I would be separated from my second, but let's say I get in a cab and there's an accident. Or
Like
I'm
going
in
from
traffic.
ceremony to reception or something. Yeah.
And then let's just say I had a second shooter and maybe I had them go to the ceremony or reception hall early to shoot those details. They're already there and I could just call them and just say, hey, I am detained. You got this. And they would get this.
You got this.
You got this.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So that's what in my head.
I didn't even
I'm
think
like,
about that as like a bride. Like,
yeah.
oh, second shooter because anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I just always thought about like, oh, like more pictures and more angles and more opportunity. And that is true. But also what you're saying is true of like, what if I trip and fall down a hill while we're taking running photos? Like
I fall into a pool.
Yeah, like what if that happened? What if my camera falls into a freaking lake or something? Like second shooter has a backup camera. Thank God.
Yeah.
And
as a lead, you have multiple, like a lot of gear and a lot of stuff. But I mean, you're always trying to plan for the unplanned.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to have everything, like every possible experience or not experience, every possible thing that could happen. You want to be prepared for it. You have tissues. You have
Expect
scissors.
the unexpected.
What was that song? The unexpected. What? That was not anything. There's like a kids show when it's like, oh, I don't remember.
I don't know. What you just did reminded me of The Replacements, which was like, I think it was on Disney, like right toward the end of me watching cartoons. And it was like one of those things that my brain just kind of like forgot about.
Yeah.
And then I looked back on like, what is this show? And it was about these like orphans that were adopted by spies. And then like every time their like adopted parents would go on like a spy trip, the parents would hire like these undercover replacement parents to like be their parents. And I'm like, is this some MK Ultra like craziness or what? Like, what is going on? Why did my brain put that in like a weird, like
that's
I had
a lot
to like
unpack
be
for a kid's
re-sparked,
show.
right?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. It's like meet the replacements.
I think that might be where that sound bite came from.
It sounded very similar to me. And I'm like, I just got triggered.
The
MK
unexpected.
Ultra.
That's all I remember.
Now I'm like, if you want to be the unexpected.
Yeah, that's it. You're right.
What is it? That's from like a baby show though. That's like if there's one thing you can expect, it's the unexpected.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Because we would be sweating all day. What was that song?
Yeah, literally.
Unexpected. Like, we're going to be saying it to random people in the street. I'm like, do you know this song? Unexpected.
Super something
super something. Yeah. I don't remember. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Now it's going to.
Dear.
I'm going to have to look it up in a second.
Just
after we're
Google
done
the
recording
lyrics.
this, we're going to look it up.
The unexpected. I'm no singer. I'm no painter. But I will sing. I will sing.
So would you say there's like a sweet spot for when you should highly consider a second shooter being available? For me, I didn't pay for a second shooter. I think I got lucky because my photographer was like, hey, because you have such a big wedding, and like literally my wedding venue was so big, like he's like, I want to bring a second shooter just to make sure that I get everything that you need. Because I had about 175 guests, and like we stayed, the venue is like, have you shot it? Yeah, Le Bon Vie is big. You have to like drive around on a golf cart to get to different buildings. And so Like the groomsmen were getting ready in the reception hall, we were getting ready at the house, and so like having a second shooter gave them the opportunity to get content of both of us getting ready. If not, then we wouldn't have had any pictures of the groomsmen like hanging out before they came over and started taking like bridal party pictures. Anyway, but I'm just curious if you think there's like a guest count number or like a venue size or a budget, something where you're like, you should really highly consider second shooter.
It's in my packages that says, so my bottom package is for like micro weddings or 75 or fewer guests. And after 75, I require to have a second shooter, and it's in my packages, so it's not like you're paying extra for it or anything. And
I love that.
Yeah, and it just makes it easier. But you know what? I customize my packages so that if you really don't want it, I'm never gonna force you, and no vendor should force you to do something you don't want to do. We can advise. I can say, hey, I can shoot this wedding, but it's going to be hard for me. If something goes wrong on my end, that might affect your photos. Like, let's say I do, like, God forbid, I break a leg on your wedding day.
Right? Yeah.
I will wheel myself around to take pictures. I promise you that. But it won't be the same caliber as if I'm well and healthy and I have a second there with me. So I just recommend it, and I have packages built, but I can also, customize. Yeah. And, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, I feel like you said like above 75, it's like, second shooter.
Yeah. Because anything below that, you can, unless there's a lot of travel between the guys getting ready and there's like multiple locations, a small wedding, you really don't have to worry about really stretching yourself too thin.
Yeah, they tend to be a little bit more low key too, like when it comes to like timeline demands.
Yeah.
Not like the budget is smaller, but like their couples who have smaller weddings tend to be more intentional with the way they spend their time. So it's not like you're having to run all over the place to get pictures of fake moments and poses and things like that. It's like they just want you to follow them around for the day and capture the realness.
And there's only so many photos of people dancing, like the same 40 people dancing that you really want.
Yes.
There's some great ones and you deliver the great ones, and the rest you're kind of like, I took 3,000 of this. Why?
And it's such a large portion of the wedding day. It's crazy. As someone who used to write wedding blogs, I still do, but not as much.
Yeah.
I was always like, oh, well, here's the 1,000 dance floor pictures. And I didn't fully appreciate them until it was my wedding and they were my wedding guests, because then it was just like,
it's hilarious.
Oh, there's Alec. Oh, there's Maggie.
Doing what they do, right?
Yeah. It just means, it means so much more. I'm like, oh, now I get why there's such a large amount of dance
when
floor
it's
pictures.
not your friends and family and loved ones, it doesn't have that weight.
They just all look the same to me.
You're just like, oh, there's a person dancing. But when there's a name to it, and when you're like, oh my gosh, like that is so them.
Yep. Like my best friend brother on crutches on the dance floor. Like, good moment. Very fun picture.
I had a really funny example of like random. So I had a micro wedding 2 or 3 years ago, and it was, I had a second shooter. And we were shooting the reception, and like we kept shooting, and I had thousands of photos of the same, small group dancing and doing all the things. And but one of the funniest things that I think I've ever photographed was one of the guests, and I wouldn't have gotten it if it was just me. So my second was getting the other side of the dance, like the dancing area. The whole area was a dancing area. Everyone was having a great time. And
dance what you want.
Yeah, you dance on the table, dance on the floor. And one of the guests, this guy, he balanced a chair on his nose or his chin. I have a picture of it. He balanced a chair on his face and was holding it for a while. And I was like, oh my God. And I sprinted over there and was just snap.
Was he a circus performer?
I don't know. He was drunk.
I'm like,
and you can do a lot of things.
Alcohol does not make you balance chairs.
I don't know.
Unless you're like, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I've seen some things.
It's the moments like that. Yeah, I interviewed a wedding photographer who was like, I saw a man jump out of a wheelchair and start doing the worm on the dance floor because it was his song, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like laying down on the floor taking pictures of him. Like, wedding photographers go above and beyond to make sure that moment is captured.
We're about it.
Yep.
We are about it.
That's what you live for.
Oh, that's, yeah. When people ask, like, what's your favorite part of the wedding day? All of it. It really depends on the wedding. But what I look forward to is when the couple can, like, you know, after all the formal photos and after all of that, like in the stress and kind of like the really, really calculated stiff things are over, ceremony, family photos, all of that. And they start to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Oh my gosh, it's reception time.
It's time to party.
It's reception time. Yeah. Or cocktail hour time, you know, and if you have the time to go and enjoy that as a couple, then I see them light up and I'm like, that's my favorite time of the day, because then I really get to see you two in your element, you know, whether it's like crazy party or it's like a nice calm affair, whatever it is, that's when you're like, let's network, let's talk, let's enjoy the people.
Let's network.
Why did I say network? I don't know why.
I know what you mean though.
Yeah.
Like let's do the rounds, you know.
Yeah. Let's network
at
each
my
table.
wedding. Like who
Business
do I
cards.
need to put a plug in with?
Yeah. Oh God.
Hey, I'm a Capricorn, so you can't put it past me.
Yeah. Dang, my bad. Not network.
That was funny. There's always an opportunity for networking. Yeah.
Always.
I love it.
Always.
Are you a Taurus? Are you a...
I'm a Taurus.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I love...
How did you know?
Because I remember.
Oh.
I'm like, your energy.
Yeah.
Tauruses and Capricorns get along very, very well. My maid of honor was a Taurus. My youngest brother is a Taurus. One of my old bandmates was a Taurus. Like the energy that you bring to me makes me feel like I'm human when I'm normally just like totally business, totally like second guessing myself, totally like.
You are human.
Oh, thank you.
You're very human. You're wonderful.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Like, is there a plate I can lift up? Machinery?
Sorry, Bridal Babes. Don't listen to this with headphones on. You will be shocked. Okay. All right. I think that was good on that. I think, when in doubt, get a second shooter if you can. It's just there's really no reason not to. Like, do you have a reason not to get a second shooter?
No, the only reason is like money. Yeah. If you don't have it in the budget, or if you really need to cut budget and it's not in your power to cut guest count or other things, I won't tell you no. I will just advise against, and then I'll say I can shoot it, like I can do it. Yeah, but I don't have assurance of a second person, and it will be a little harder for me. Yeah, but I can do it.
Yeah, but if you can,
get a second shooter.
Just do it.
Do it.
Okay, and I was gonna do one about unplugged ceremonies, but I feel like we kind of covered that. Like, we just kind of talked about enough of it already that I want to bring up a different topic.
Ooh, yes.
And so last story of the day, and we'll definitely have you back to talk about more photography things later, because we only have so much time in one episode. We can't do this for 8 hours straight unless you want to, Bridal Babes. Let me know.
I'll do it for 8 hours straight. Do you want
a 24-hour live stream?
We just never go to sleep. We're like,
could you imagine? That would be a fun wedding, like a weekend where I just like do a 24-hour live stream with a bunch of different wedding vendors. I'd lose my...
You would be very tired.
Yes, I already don't sleep well. Maybe I won't do that. Anyway, so
12 hour.
Back to our story, last story of the day. Title is it normal for a photographer to charge for digital access to pictures from a free engagement session? Our wedding photography package included a free engagement session. As we're getting closer to booking it, we're asking the photographer questions, and he indicates that the photo session itself is free, but that we'd need to actually pay to get the photos, which to me doesn't actually sound free. I get if we wanted them printed or in a specific format, but what use is a free photo shoot if you still have to pay to get access to the pictures? Is this a standard practice, or is he pulling a fast one on us?
Oof.
I was like, what is that?
Oh, it's the food.
I actually really have to pee, and I'd rather be present.
Yes.
I have to pee.
That's a good segue. Cat food and then Pete. There's just going to be a video of me drinking champagne while our host with the most is indisposed. That almost rhymed. I'm going to drink champagne. This couch is so cute. Right? I just talked at the camera for that time. Nice. It's like, hello. Yeah, I didn't turn it off, so it was all recorded. You got me au natural.
In my element.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Liquor and lights.
Liquor and lights, baby. And everything
Cheers.
nice. Cheers. Aww.
That was wait, let's do that right near the mic.
Boom.
It's like zen.
I actually, when I'm sorry, when I wash my wine glasses, I love the little sound they make.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, this must be what they made the lightsaber sound effect from.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Whoa.
Whoa. Or that's like a car driving by. I just watched Star Wars. What did I watch yesterday? Some Star Wars. Oh,
one of them.
Ashoka.
Oh, Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Yeah. You started watching the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm a little lost on that one. I already finished it. I'm still like, what did I just watch? Because there's a bunch of backstory. So we're gonna go back and watch. I think it's called Rebels, which is like a cartoon about a couple of the characters.
Okay.
So yeah, Jackson loves the Star Wars.
Yes.
Folklore, the whole storyline. Yeah, the universe. Yeah.
And all these new people are writing new lore, and it's all like checked off.
Jon Favreau
by...
and Dave Filoni.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the new. That's the new Star Wars era. Yeah. I think they helped a lot with. Did you watch Mandalorian?
Yo, yes.
That is one of my favorite shows. Literally at my bridal shower, you know how they do like those little, oh, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? Who knows the bride the best? I'm like, I don't know how to answer this, but I think Mandalorian is my favorite show because I've watched it like 3 times already. Mm-hmm. So, but I love TV. So it was like really hard for me to answer that question. Yeah. But anyway, I wrote down Mandalorian.
It depends on like the time in your life.
Literally, yeah, exactly.
5 years ago, I'd have said something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been like Narcos.
Narcos. Yeah, Narcos is so good.
Oh, it's so bad. Like it's so dark and heavy, but it's so good.
I just love like watching things that are about real stories.
Yeah. Same actor, Mandalorian and Narcos.
Yep. And The Last of Us.
Oh, that was so
that
good.
Was a good one.
There was definitely like the last few years have been his years.
Yes, he's coming into his moment.
Oh yeah,
he had a big moment when The Last of Us came out too.
Yeah,
all these middle-aged women are like,
they all were calling him daddy and stuff. I was like, oh, and him with his sweaters and stuff. Like, oh yes, rocket.
Oh, you're inquisitive, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's so down to earth. I think that's what's nice and refreshing about him. He's a superstar actor, and then he's so down to. And have you seen when he poses for pictures? Sometimes he'll rub right here.
No,
he said that's where the anxiety is.
Oh.
And so that's where he touches it to comfort it. Yeah. And I'm like, I connect so much with that because I feel it, but it comes out in my hands. So you'll see me like just doing things. Yeah. Rubbing my nails. I like to do that. Yeah, it's very, very relatable.
Yeah. No, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's cool. Yeah.
You know that actor.
You know who we're talking about, Bridal Babes. All right. So back to the story. Mm-hmm. Do you remember? Do you want me to refresh you?
Please?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I understand that the couple feels like this is a surprise because that's money that wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
And that's a sensitive subject. But that is more of a... So there's different like types of photographers, wedding photographers. There's like fashion photographers. There's different... And a lot of like, I think fashion photographers do something like that where they might charge like a session fee. It's very minimal. And then you're like, whoa, it's so cheap. They're so good. Why is it so cheap? But the catch is that you pay for the digitals or you pay for the prints and you have to order prints through them. And so I think he's just coming at it from, depending on where he's located, it's a lot more prevalent in New York. It's a lot more prevalent in those like big cities. Where there's a lot more fashion photography. and there's a lot larger names. And so everyone's kind of like, well, let me do what these big names are doing. And not saying that that photographer isn't a big name photographer, but just it really depends on where you are. Texas is still kind of in a different place.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, having that happen would be kind of a shock to a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, in New York, California, maybe Washington, that's
where there's like a
pretty
big
standard
supply of photographers, like a lot of competition. Like,
yeah.
I have downloaded, like I said, I did a lot of wedding blogs, and I've downloaded a lot of wedding galleries, and I've never been asked to pay
For the digitals.
digitals. But that's also the wedding day versus engagement photos. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like it should be stated in the contract. And if it wasn't, which it looks like either they didn't read the contract all the way or it wasn't stated clearly, that to me is just sketchy.
Yeah.
And in every industry, there's going to be sketchy people.
Yeah.
In the wedding industry, in the banking industry, in the housing, like any industry you walk into, because no one's perfect, there's going to be somebody who's trying to take advantage of the situation. And like, from a non-photographer perspective, this to me seems like
red flag.
Yeah, red flag.
You're like, wait, what else are you going to charge me for?
Yes.
I have agreed to this. I've paid for these things. I've paid for your services, and now I'm not receiving anything. I paid for you just to come here and shoot,
take
and
photos for your own portfolio, basically.
That would be understandably very frustrating,
Yeah.
And very confusing. And so the communication needs to be spot on.
So
you
clear.
need to let people know, you know, I understand like getting caught up and forgetting to mention things, even though I know as a couple coming to a photographer and you know, wanting the information, you would think, how could you forget something that vital? But when you get really busy and you start talking to couples and doing discovery chats and explaining your you know, what you offer.
Yeah, maybe it's like the fourth or
multiple
fifth call
times a
that
week.
day.
Yeah. You know, you're human.
Yep.
I've done that. I've forgotten to say something to someone, and it's in my contract. So luckily, whenever I send it, you know, and it's in the proposal that I send, it's in the contracts, it's in the package. So it's all mentioned, but I could see where possibly there could be a miscommunication and they forgot to mention it. I would hope, but that's like the optimist in me that's like, I really hope they just forgot to say it and they're not trying to get one over on
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But like you said, you have to watch out.
Yes. And to think like your photographer is pulling a fast one on you, even if they're not, it's just not a fun position to be in.
No.
So that's where couples do your due diligence in reading contracts and vetting, and vendors do your due diligence in communicating every expectation clearly. Because you don't want to be caught in a situation where you're put under fire because you're, you know, deceiving your client, but also the client doesn't want to be put in a situation where they're paying for a package where they're like, oh, now I have to pay more for this package. Like, I didn't take that into my budgeting consideration, or like
setting everyone up for failure.
Exactly. So
The poor couple, you know, now after shooting that engagement session and after that bubble's been burst, you're probably not looking forward to your big day as much,
right?
Because that one thing.
Yeah.
And as a photographer, you really have to handle people with care. Yeah, I'm not perfect, so I can't say like every couple I've ever worked with, I've been, you know, stellar service, you know, but I try as best as I can, and you try and compensate. So if you miscommunicated something and they're like, we weren't expecting this, you know what? You might just have to give that to them. Like, take the L, give them the photos, and what's it going to hurt you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It seems like, you know, your business is doing good. Just give them the photos.
Yeah.
And they will be happy. And that's the ultimate goal.
Yes.
Is that your couple's happy or your client is happy.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And I feel like most importantly, like the person who's behind that camera and your relationship to them, even if you don't think it's going to be a big deal, you can tell in pictures. And even if it's not like you look the most bitter person on earth, you're going to be able to remember that moment and how you were feeling. And it's going to be hard to get past that. Like, either clear the air with this photographer and get on the same page and start fresh, or I would say find a new photographer, because if you have a negative association, an unfortunate, uncomfortable relationship because of things that have happened since booking, it's just not worth it at the end of the day to follow through and have pictures that you're not comfortable in, that you're not like proud of what was happening, and that you just like, I have a friend who their photos are amazing, but they felt like their wedding photographer was just the worst person, like just as a person on their wedding day. And it's so hard for them to like love their photos because of the fact that they have this association with the photographer. So
it's an emotional purchase.
It is.
And you have to balance the art of it. Do I like the art? Do I like what they produce? Do I like, the colors? Do I like the lighting? Do I like how they make certain things when people look? Skin tones. Can they shoot my skin tone?
Right.
But then also you have to consider, how are they? That's why it's important as a vendor to have pictures and videos of yourself. I don't really like taking pictures. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I really don't like being in front of the camera as much.
Hey.
Because
hey, camera.
Yeah, just because it puts you out there and you feel like all of your insecurities are out there. But with the right person behind the camera, I got a little closer with that one. Behind the camera. With the right person behind the camera, it won't be bad. You'll start relishing taking pictures and videos. You'll start wanting to, hey, let me get in the spotlight again, because I felt so powerful.
Yeah, because they make you feel good. Yes.
And then that's when it becomes an experience, is when it doesn't just become like, I need to take these pictures. It's like you're talking and you're enjoying, and you have the time to enjoy that moment. You have, maybe you got your hair and makeup done and you're playing fun music that you all like. And then it becomes this whole experience, and you can look back, and not only are the photos beautiful or something that you expected, but also, wow, do you remember that day? Like, we just had so much chemistry. Like, as the photographer was shooting, they told us to kiss. They didn't even need to tell us to kiss, because we were about to kiss. It was going to happen. And so that's why it's, you have to have the right person there. And, with this photographer that, the communication's off, and you could, close the contract and go with someone else, and you'll lose money. They'll lose a little money. It's okay. But how important is it to have the right person on the wedding day?
Yes.
Because the engagement session is kind of like a test.
Yeah.
Like,
I
how do you feel?
Your photographer and your planner are basically bridal party members.
Yes.
Because they are with you like just as much as anyone is on your wedding day. So if you don't have good relationships with those two vendors specifically,
yikes.
Reevaluate. Yep. Find a good relationship. Clear the air. Communicate through the hard stuff, or find a new person, because those are two people that you definitely on your wedding day want to be able to be honest with. You want to be able to feel comfortable with, and you want to enjoy the time that you spend with them. Because if your wedding photographer is like hovering around you and you feel like they're a mosquito, like that is not going to be comfortable. No, that's not the energy you want on your wedding day. So
I've helped so many brides into dresses, and like, that is like, honestly, you're almost like booty butt naked right there.
Literally.
And
just stickies on, and that's
it. And I've had so many brides say, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I've had I've had a child. And I have helped. Yeah. And I, like, in the military, you take, when you're in basic training, you take showers in a group setting with the other females.
Oh,
females only.
It's like a jail.
Yes.
Oh, fun.
You are in a group shower setting. If you deploy, group shower sometimes, like, it just depends on where you are.
Right.
And so if in that vulnerable moment, or maybe you don't have your photographer there helping you with the dress on, maybe it's a much more like luxury wedding, and then the photographer is not helping you in the dress, but still, I'm going to be there, and I'll be like shooting you, and I might be like, oh, you have a hair out of place. Oh, you have this. If that photographer touching you makes you uncomfortable, reevaluate.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
If they give you the ickies.
Yes.
If they don't make you feel confident and powerful and beautiful, reevaluate.
Yeah. Yeah, and something I didn't think about, and I'm totally happy with who I chose, but having a guy photographer getting ready with, like, being there while we're getting ready. He didn't come into the room while I was changing. You know, it wasn't, I never felt uncomfortable, but then listening to other photographers after my wedding talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, like I met a couple who does weddings, and they're like, we love it because the wife can go with the girls getting ready and the husband can go with the guys getting ready, and everyone feels just like so much more comfortable. And I was like, I didn't feel uncomfortable. Is there something wrong with me? No, I'm just kidding.
Your photographer is absolutely stellar. So he I know he makes a point to like be part of the family pretty much.
Yeah, Tim Laley, shout out to Barefoot Tim. He was like my grounding energy throughout the entire process, because there was a lot that I was like, oh, unexpected. Oh, what? Oh, what's going on? And Tim was just there to be calm, and he wasn't like trying to solve my problems for me, but he was just there to like listen and support me and take great photos. So find you a photographer like Gillian, like Tim, that really take what they do seriously, not just to produce good photos, but to produce good memories and to provide good times. So yeah. Thanks for coming in today, Gillian.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for having me, Kat.
It was my pleasure.
And if the Bridal Babes wanted to follow along with your journey, find your photography, where would the best place to be?
Everywhere. Instagram, Gillian Menzie Photography. Facebook, Gillian Menzie Photography. My website, GillianMenzie.com. Oh. I know. My email address, contact@GillianMenziePhotography.com. Google Gillian Menzie Photography. Where else can you find me?
Just type in Gillian Menzie, probably on any platform, and you'll find her.
Yes,
for sure.
Gillian with a G.
Yeah, with a G.
Gillian. Julian. Everyone gets my name wrong when they see it. Yeah, and it's kind of funny. I like to like
Gillian.
Let people say.
Does anyone have that name? Gillian?
I don't know, but everyone says, they're like, is it Gillian or Gil? How would you say that? And I'm like, I understand, because with the English language, you have giraffe and you have gorilla. It's a G.
That's funny. Yeah.
And so you're like, what are you? Are you a giraffe or are you a gorilla? I had to think about that. I'm a giraffe. I'm a giraffe. But you can call me whatever you like.
I feel like I know more Gillians with a G than I do with a J.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's only 2 to 1, so.
Yeah. There's not a lot of us. We're rare.
Gillians unite.
I actually saw, this is another tangent.
Yeah,
let's go on a trip. I saw this one video on the interwebs where everyone named, was
it Kyle?
I think maybe it was Kyle.
In Kyle, Texas, there was a Kyle meetup.
Oh, yeah, that's the one. And they're like, Kyle's, and like there was like, they had those little pull off paper things where it's like, you know, here's a number, or here's like, we're all meeting at this time. If you're a Kyle, meet us. And I really badly want to be like, if you're Gillian or Gillian, meet us. Like, let's all get together. J Gillians are welcome. G Gillians are welcome. If you have some like silent letters in there, you're welcome.
All are welcome. All Gillians are welcome.
All Gillians. Yeah, I'd love to see if there's any others.
Yeah, well, we're putting it out in the world now, so you can't stop the motion of the ocean once it starts going. Going. Okay, well, I think that's it for today's episode. It was so fun. Bridal Babes, let me know what you want to hear Gillian talk about next time she comes in the studio, because she'll definitely be back. And yeah, find her online, find her photography, book her for your destination wedding, your Texas wedding, engagement sessions.
Boudoir.
You do boudoir.
Anything.
Do you do family?
I literally do pretty much everything.
You do it all.
I just advertise mostly for weddings.
Things related to love. She loves love.
Yeah. I love love.
We love love.
And confidence.
Yes.
Or building confidence.
Yes.
You come to me with low confidence
and
I'll send
boost
you off
up.
right. Yeah, you're going to be feeling good. A little champagne, if that's not your poison. Then a little, you know.
One final coffee. Cheers. Thanks so much for coming in. And with that, we'll see you next time, Bridal Babes.